Johnson, and welcome to Law Unfiltered, where I discuss current events and some of the legal implications. This week, we have been dealing with the remnants of Hurricane Harvey, and we're now preparing for Hurricane Irma. And as an unemployment attorney, I often get asked, can I miss work because the state has been declared an emergency? Now, for the most part, employees are employed at will, and that means that the employer can terminate for any reason at any time, as well as the employee can elect to terminate their employment for any reason at any time. And typically, when you have exceptions to that, it's either going to be statutory or it's going to be implicit in your employment handbook. So first and foremost, as an employee, you should look at your handbook. And if it says that when a state has been determined a state of emergency, that you are excused, or when certain weather conditions become so severe that you are then excused, then my answer would be, then yes, you're excused from work if in fact your conditions are that of an emergency. Now say that your handbook doesn't speak on it, but say it has certain implicit language like, we will make sure that your work environment is safe and able for you to perform your functions. That is an argument that, well, if the governor has declared a state of emergency, then clearly being either in certain cities or being in the state is severe, or it can cause severe damage. And so arguably, again, you should be able to not go to work that day because, again, your state has been declared an emergency, or particularly your city or county or whatever your residence lies. Now, other than in the handbook, then it becomes statutory. And there are some states that do provide protections, but then again, there are some states that don't. There is no federal protection. Now, for those states that pretty much provide protection, it's either going to be under a public policy exception or an explicit provision that says, hey, under conditions of a state of emergency, employees should not or are not obligated to report to work. As it pertains to public policy, the public policy is implicitly stating, listen, it is an important interest of the public to account for people's safety. If the governor is obviously declaring a state of emergency, then the safety of the public is in peril. And therefore, it is understandable, or at least within the public interest, not to have people or employees report to work in an area that is declared a state of emergency. Now, having said all that, my answer to a lot of people that particularly now are asking, listen, I'm in South Carolina or I'm in Florida, wherever Hurricane Irma is coming, am I going to have to worry about coming back to work? My biggest thing to you is your safety is the utmost important. No matter what decision that you make, there is going to be a risk. And whether that risk is you come back and you don't have a job and then you have to litigate to get your job back or litigate to get damages, or if you come back and unfortunately you have to get a new job, or if you come back and your job is there nonetheless, but you have to deal with other issues, or you decide to stay there in hopes that you can not have to deal with the risk of losing your job, but then again, there comes the risk of you harming your safety. You need to weigh all those risks, all those expenses, as well as whatever benefit to stay or benefit to leave, and determine what's in your own best interest. I know I tell people, family and friends, you will be able to find another job, or you will be able to find another means of income, or you'll be able to seek aid, whether that's federal aid or state aid. But don't feel like you have to pretty much risk your life in order to make sure you have that 1 or 2 days of employment. Now, on the flip side, I do also stress as employers, it's important that you feel like, or employees feel like you're invested in them or you're engaging with them. And so when you pretty much require them to come to work during such severe conditions, it's sending a message that their safety is not your priority. And so I would encourage, even as employers, to make sure you're mindful of certain messages that you're sending, because again, as it pertains to employment engagement, or even as it pertains to profits, you want to make sure that your employees feel invested, or at least feel part of the employment environment, and they don't feel as if they're just being used or they're just robots in order to get a bigger end. So with that being said, please be safe out there, and thank you so much for listening. I will catch you next time on Law Unfiltered.